Amazon's Alexa is getting a big generative AI upgrade soon and is likely to require a new subscription aside from Amazon Prime. So if you already have Amazon Prime, either for the video or for the lower cost shipping, you may need another monthly subscription service to use the AI version of Alexa, according to a report from CNBC. CNBC did the original reporting here, but I'm on The Verge because they have a prettier picture. So Alexa has very much so fallen behind in the era of ChatGPT and generative AI. Amazon is one of the largest countries in the world, and they're not going to allow that for very long. So Amazon is planning to launch a more conversational version of Alexa later this year, and it's not going to be free. Previously, Alexa was free because it spied on you and recommended products and would auto buy things. But now you're going to have to pay to be spied on and have products be automatically bought for you, as they're going to end up charging for use of the artificial intelligence. I assume the servers and overhead are just way, way too expensive. If you want to get into the beta test, apparently just talk to your Alexa-enabled Echo device and say, "Alexa, let's chat," and Amazon will notify you when you can personally access the preview. Now, Amazon themselves have been very tight-lipped about the pricing model, about how it's going to go, what they're going to charge, if there's going to be bundles or discounts. But all the leaks indicate a $10 to $15 a month additional subscription to use Alexa AI, which I am absolutely not going to do because I try to minimize the amount of devices in my house that spy on me, and that's difficult enough as is without having an AI constantly running and listening and watching me. In news that is both good and weird, non-invasive zaps to the spinal cord seem to be able to treat paralysis, but scientists can't quite figure out why it works. They know that it does work and it's already making a difference for people. We're about to show a video of that in just a second, but they don't know why. And the study was done on patients with tetraplegia, otherwise known as quadriplegia. It's people that maybe don't have their spinal cord severed, but have some sort of brain or spinal cord damage that makes the signaling down to the rest of the body much, much worse. So they did do a small clinical trial, not a ton of people, but they did a relatively simple stimulation method, which requires no surgery, offers accessible and more affordable non-invasive means for those to regain their function. Basically, they put a stimulator on the back of the neck and stimulated certain regions, and 72% of the trial participants saw meaningful improvements in both strength and performance after just 24 sessions. So we're going to go ahead and show this guy. This is the second day of training with the stimulator off, and you can see, I'm not trying to be too ableist here, but he has quadriplegia, and he's struggling to grip this, what is ultimately going to be a large-sized ball, and put it into the bucket. Difficulty lifting the arm too. So we're going to skip ahead to the very last video, 3 months of stimulation. Now they have the stimulation off. After 3 months of being stimulated, he's able to pick up something the size of a pea and carefully place it into, we'll just show this again, and you'll see that he very carefully places it into an even smaller container with much more control and seemingly much more ease lifting the arm. And that's the type of improvement that most people got from this study that they did at the University of Washington, as you can see in the video. The researchers do not believe that this is placebo effect, and the trial participants are also saying they feel much better, and they're pretty sure that it's not a placebo effect because previously she had a useless hand. I went through this a while back. I had kind of paralyzed hands, like partially, they were droopy. It was very difficult to control things. And when I got the correct diagnosis and started treating the problem, the difference was immediately noticeable that my nerves were working. The problem is scientists still don't know why this works. And if we don't know why it works, we can't replicate it for everybody. So I think that since we have a positive result, we'll get a lot more research on this, and eventually we'll know why these little stimulations to the spinal cord can help treat paralysis. Germany has too many solar panels. So many, in fact, it's made solar energy push into the negative price category where people will pay you to take away their solar energy. As insane as that is, market demands can end up doing that, not just with oil prices. So Germany produced and installed a ridiculous amount of solar panels, so many, in fact, that they outpaced consumer demand. And during peak solar production hours, which is daytime, producers have had to take an 87% price cut in the last 10 days. And in fact, in certain circumstances, when the sort of demand, supply, peak production, when all the little curves cross over, The price of solar has gone into negative, where they had to pay people to take their solar, which is just downright awesome. That is what energy independence looks like. That's what we should all want, what we should strive for, where you don't even have to think about electricity. It's like, electricity, that's everywhere. And it's not even polluting anything, which is what's very, very important. Now, of note, this is what happens in unregulated power markets. Germany has those towards sort of a very supply and demand. When the supply is very low, it can get very expensive, but when the supply is very high, it can be extremely cheap. That's just sort of the trade-off that you make as a customer. And I think that's downright awesome. And it also, this article goes on to talk about Europe in general is greatly expanding in the green energy category with wind and solar. And I reported on this a couple of weeks ago, but California once again also overproduced more green energy than the entire state needed. They had to sell it out of state. So it's a proof that this model, this concept, this green energy, this solar and wind power thing can legitimately work. It can work in almost all situations. It can make a huge impact. It can drive the energy prices down to near zero. It's honestly makes me really happy to see. California is joining red states like Texas, Mississippi, and Alabama by advancing a bill that requires adult website age verification. You would think that this would be the last state to do something like this, but apparently California is 100% on board, and that makes me feel like a big clown because I just did a 40-minute YouTube video breakdown of why these types of laws are unconstitutional and why I believe them to be a partisan issue when apparently they are not. So the California State Assembly passed the Parents' Accountability and Child Protection Act that will require adult websites to have a third-party verification system where you submit your driver's license or something like this. It technically passed unanimously, but we did have 15 members not voting. We had 65 out of 80 yeses and 15 just chose not to vote at all. Louisiana was the first state to do this. And when you look at the states doing this, you have Utah, Arkansas, Florida, Indiana, Mississippi, Montana, North Carolina, Texas, and Virginia, which are all mostly states that probably wish that California didn't exist. So it's bizarre to see them kind of agreeing on this issue. And the largest companies are not very happy with this. And they're saying things like, the company says that users who are required to verify their age should instead go to other sites that don't comply with state law. That's exactly what I did. And I got a VPN. And it's just kind of creepy that it's actually more concerning that it's not a partisan issue, but that every state is getting on board. And I think that this is a creeping little tiptoe toward you have to submit your driver's license for everything you do online. You have to have a persistent online identity. It's a process known as de-anonymizing the internet. So, God, I hope I'm just being paranoid and that doesn't happen.